Hello, I'm Ray. This is it, the OnePlus 5. Is it the flagship killer? So wait, we've also got the LG G6, XZ Plus for sure, my current daily driver the XZ Premium, and the U11. Can I kill all of them? Let's have a look.
2017 is an interesting year that literally all the mainstream manufacturers have ditched the once popular metal unibody design and embraced the fingerprint magnet dual glass design. If you're one of those old school or maybe practicality first person, you don't have to worry about breaking the glass back nor cleaning up the mirror all day long if you pick up the OnePlus 5. But fair enough, it totally depends on personal preference. Like some may treasure the Infinity Edge display on the S8, which does look stunning and futuristic, but some may also find themselves fall in love with the Sony's Omnibalance design, delicate, boxy design. Same for the liquid glass surface on the U11, they look gorgeous, stunning, when they're cleaned properly. The OnePlus 5 is an iPhone 7 Plus ripoff, that's an undeniable fact. The position of the dual camera setup, the LED flash, even the noise cancelling microphone, the logo, and the subtle antenna bands along the top and the bottom edge. So alike. It is indeed a ripoff, but with brilliant build quality. That 7.3mm super slim metal unibody, with gentle curves along the two sides, it looks and feels unbelievably thin in hands. Together with those sharp cuts on the sides, the presentation of metal coolness is among the best out there. Another interesting bit is the plastic frame between the glass and the metal body. It is kinda invisible in most lighting conditions, thanks to the same dark grey color with the same matte finish texture and look. So generally speaking, the OnePlus 5 is a sleek and smart looking phone. And yet, if we take a closer look, the design's far from perfect. The antenna cutout, well, NFC to be exact, on the camera hump, another one on the 3.5mm jack. Those subtle cutouts are subtle but, well, annoying. Speaking of annoying, they've even copied the camera hump, but they've forgotten the OIS technology under the glass. The OnePlus 5's also the only one here which is not water and dust resistant. S8, check. XZ Premium, definitely. Even HTC, the U11. And don't forget LG, the G6. Such a shame. OnePlus has also failed to bring a bezel-less design on this year's flagship. 73% screen-to-body ratio is not bad at all, but in 2017 is the year of infinity displays. Especially the curved, almost bezel-free Super AMOLED display on the S8 Plus. But to be fair, we are only getting this sort of immersive experience on the S8 exclusively. So move on to the hardware. The OnePlus is one of those rare Android phones which have a dedicated silent key. We can simply put the phone to silent or even do not disturb mode with literally one slide. Sometimes an extra button can be handy and useful. Yes, I'm talking you, Samsung. Unfortunately, the OnePlus 5 is also the only one here we have today which does not support microSD expansion. That was a dual nano SIM tray. Anyway, with that optional 128GB of storage, it shouldn't be a problem. The fingerprint sensor / home button on the other hand, like its predecessor, is mounted on the front, like on the U11. But surprisingly, the one on the more affordable OnePlus 5 is crafted with ceramic. Scratch resistance expected to be excellent here. By the way, I personally is not a big fan of fingerprint sensors on both the front and back. Instead, the side-mounted one is the real king. The key is, no matter if the phone's on the table or is in your hand, you can basically reach the button without changing a gesture holding the phone, with either the index finger or your thumb. If you compare that to the S8, alright, that's clearly design first. Some say they can locate the fingerprint sensor much easier with a case on it. I kinda agree, but the design position itself is just wrong. Another surprise on the OnePlus 5 is that 3.5mm headphone jack. They made it on such a thin chassis. What's wrong with you, Apple? You as well, HTC, is the only one here that's got enough courage to ditch the jack. But thankfully, they've also put a decent converter inside the box, with a built-in 24-bit hi-fi DAC. The audio quality is actually really great. More on that in a second. USB Type-C port with USB on-the-go support is also standard in 2017. LED notification light is also there except the LG G6. The OnePlus 5 though will shock you with tons of modification settings, even for notifications. Last but not least, the microphones on all of them are spectacular. The G6 records everything crystal clear with all the professional settings. Feel free to watch my full review to learn more. While the U11 records 3D audio with top-notch clarity, and the acoustic focus has just taken it to another level. The OnePlus 5 doesn't have those cutting-edge technologies, but the audio quality is great, on a par with other mainstream flagships.
Rumpy cat.
At the end of the day, the OnePlus 5's got an uninspiring design. The build quality is also not gonna compete with the XZ Premium, the S8 and the U11. The metal chassis is cool to touch and is silky smooth to hold, but it doesn't work that well with the super slim profile. It's not the safest and most comfy phone to hold. Still, it is sleek and well built, with great hardware. Budget phones are getting better. Speaking of getting better, move on to performance and features. The OnePlus 5 runs Android 7.1.1 Nougat out of the box, while the interface is almost identical to stock Android, which is great. But wait, stock doesn't represent it is dull and less productive. Instead, not only has it got all the new features that comes with Android Nougat, including the expandable notification preview cards, multi-windows with perfect third-party app support, but also unimaginable amount of user-friendly gestures and features. Speaking of which, scroll capture, which seems to be inspired by someone else, is indeed handy. And OnePlus has made it even easier to use. By pressing the scroll capture icon, the screen will then scroll by itself. Then just give it a random touch to stop it and save it as a whole one-screen capture. Sending one picture to your friends with all the information you need or they need is just genius. Then my favorite, double tap to wake. LG and HTC have also got that, while Knockout on the G6 takes the idea to let us unlock the phone even easier when sitting on a table. But OnePlus' approach is out of this world, combined with the customizable hardware navigation buttons, with long press and double tap shortcuts. We can basically put the phone to sleep, then wake it up and unlock it with one single button. We've also got ambient display that we can check out the time and notifications with a single lifting gesture. They deserve an even bigger applause when it comes to the alphabet drawing shortcuts. It's nothing new, especially on Chinese phones, but the key is, the OnePlus 5 allows us to redirect it to a specific secondary route or page of any app. Well, I do mean every single app installed on your OnePlus 5. Like I want to check out my apps on Play Store directly, with one gesture. Boom, there you go. When it comes to features, however, HTC's also delivered their best in 2017. The pressure-sensitive chassis could be frustrating for some people, but in fact, not only does it detect squeezes accurately, but also identify whether it is a long or a short one. Shortcuts like firing up the camera with a short squeeze, then take a selfie with another short squeeze is handy. Other than that, we can even switch between the front and the back camera, or capture the screen with a long squeeze. There are quite a few more options that you can do with a squeeze. Sometimes edge functionality could be practical. Yeah, I'm talking you again, Samsung. HTC's theme engine's also second to nothing. Those freestyle themes are literally boundaryless. In the end, when it comes to software and in-house features, Samsung's the real king. Iris scanning's incredibly fast in all lighting conditions. While the Game Center allows mobile gamers like you and me switch between performance, power saving and balanced mode with one click. Put the phone to Do Not Disturb mode, lock the pressure-sensitive home button temporarily, and even record gameplay can also be done with a click or two. With all those scroll capture, always on display, GIF recording features, it is easily the most features-packed phone out of the bunch, especially if we compare that to the LG and Sony. The U11 and OnePlus 5 on the contrary are much lighter, yet with unmatchable amount of personalization and user-friendly settings. Again, budget phones are getting better and better. What has also got better is the processing power. The OnePlus 5 features a best-in-class Snapdragon 835 processor with an optional 8GB of RAM and 128GB of storage. Driving the stock Android-like UI, this thing flies. But is there anything to do with that 8GB of RAM, or is it the well-optimized system? Well, both. You just can't use all those 8GB of RAM. The U11 with 6GB of RAM, even the XZ Premium with 4GB of RAM deliver comparable silky smooth experience. Software plays an important role here. Speaking of which, let's see who's got the best optimized system right now in 2017. And it's time for the standard apps opening speed test that all the tested devices launched the same list of apps. While as we've expected, the OnePlus 5 nearly killed everything else on the market and was almost as fast as the iPhone 7. The XZ Premium and the U11 came right after it. Then the second round with 8GB of RAM, there's also nothing for us to worry about. All the apps were running on the background as expected. App switching's also lag-free. Hardware and benchmarks might tell nothing, but the OnePlus 5's among the fastest in real-world performance. Yes, fast. The OnePlus 5 actually launches basically every single app faster than the S8 Plus, and even faster than the XZ Premium, which is a really responsive and snappy phone. But the difference is so marginal that you will never be able to tell, especially you won't be holding all three of them at once. However, things start to change when it comes to heavier tasks like photos editing in Photoshop. Now I've loaded the exact same photo on all three of them, then set sharpness to 70, noise reduction 40, and finally recover the shadows a bit, 30 in this case. Then the interesting bit, let's see which one finishes first. Wow, the OnePlus 5 crossed the line first. Sony comes the second. Finally, Samsung. We can tell the OnePlus 5's not only a phone with top-notch hardware, but also brilliant software. While the G6 powered by an outdated Snapdragon 821, the S8 tends to launch apps milliseconds slower than phones with similar specs. So yeah, the OnePlus 5's the best performing flagship out there. Here we've come to the most exciting part of the review, the mega camera comparison. Dual cameras clearly the new trend, but among the mainstream flagships, the G6 is the only one that comes with two camera lenses. And the secondary camera on the G6 shares no similarity to anything else on the market, except its predecessors. It is indeed a practical implementation of a dual-lens system. It squeezes way more objects into the frame. It is a feature that you will be using from time to time, especially if you travel a lot. OnePlus, however, simply copied the idea from the iPhone. So we've got 2x optical zoom on the OnePlus 5. Wait, in fact, that's 1.6x. They completed the 2x zoom with digital zoom on top of it. But relax, the telephoto lens got 20 megapixels instead of 16 on the primary camera. After the cropping effect, you will be getting similar clarity as a 16 megapixels photo. Here we've got more photos taken with the primary wide-angle lens on the left, cropped to fit the same field of view, and photos taken with the zoom lens on the right. The improvement on the clarity is more than noticeable. But the lack of optical image stabilization might have been a deal-breaker for some people. Wait, software or electronic stabilization is amazing on the OnePlus 5. It handles 1080p recording rock stable, no matter which lens you're using. Another key feature of the dual camera setups the iPhone-like bokeh or portrait mode. Generally speaking, the bokeh effect is well implemented. People will not be able to tell right away if it's taken with a smartphone or a DSLR. Not only does it render the main object accurately, with minimal distortion, but also gets the right depth effect exactly where it's needed. It works surprisingly well. By the way, speaking of the lack of optical image stabilization, Sony is also well known for that. But again, that 5-axis electronic stabilization make every single footage silky smooth, and somehow like it's stabilized with a gimbal. "960 frames per second 720p HD super slow motion recordings also an exclusive black magic. Those advanced technologies can only be found on Sony's latest offers, up to this point. It seems that all Sony, LG and OnePlus have found their innovative or unique features for their cameras, or neither unique nor innovative, but well implemented. Samsung and HTC on the other hand focus on the image quality rather than anything else, so let's compare their image quality side by side. Before that, we are not including the LG G6, due to that outdated Sony IMX258 sensor. So the first photo of here was taken in some of the most extreme backlight scenes. The S8 gave the brightest image of all, while the U11 and OnePlus 5 gave two really similar photos, with almost identical white balance, exposure and saturation. The XZ Premium underexposed a bit, but was also the only one that successfully captured the pale blue tint on the dark and cloudy sky. Once we zoom in, however, the S8 shines. The U11 and XZ Premium are close. The OnePlus 5 unfortunately lags behind in this shot. Here we've got another shot, with a similar lighting condition to the first one. The U11 captured the cloudy sky with loads of details and depth. The shots on the OnePlus 5, S8 and XZ Premium though are roughly the same from distance. The dynamic range, however, once we've zoomed in, surprisingly, the OnePlus 5 captured way more details on the shadows than the rest. The S8 and the XZ Premium are close. Then the U11 favored the background, but sacrificed the main object on the shadows. The third set of photos were taken in a relatively less challenging scene, but we are looking at how they handle the details and art effect. The OnePlus 5 shocked me, the S8 and the XZ Premium sit in the middle again, while the U11 adds no sharpening effect at all to its photos, resulted this softer and less detailed image. And as the sunset magic hour came, the XZ Premium rendered the white balance exactly what it was. The OnePlus 5 gave a slightly warmer tone, but pleasing. The yellowish tint on the S8 and the U11, however, is unacceptable. When it comes to the details, however, the OnePlus 5 overexposed the clouds a little bit. The U11 showed jagged effect. I will give the crown to the XZ Premium this time around. Move on to the real thing, low-light photography. As you might have expected, the difference is huge. The first one we have here shows the U11 tends to boost the exposure under low-light scenes, but also resulted in a flatter and kinda washed out image. In terms of clarity, however, thanks to optical image stabilization on the S8 and the U11, they are indeed crisper and clearer. Again, the OnePlus 5 and the XZ Premium captured what it was, with a more accurate white balance, while the XZ Premium boosted the saturation. Things are much more reasonable on the OnePlus 5. The S8 though, again, a bit on the reddish side. The U11, greenish side. When it comes to the details, however, the same thing happens again. The S8 gave a far sharper and clearer image than all the other mainstream flagships, with next to none digital noise at all. The U11 actually captured comparable details to the S8, but way noisier. The OnePlus 5 continues to capture what it is. The XZ Premium's also got the right white balance, but the saturation's gone crazy. Again, the S8's on the reddish side, the U11's a bit greenish. Again, the S8 gave a far sharper and clearer image than all the other mainstream flagships. Surprisingly, the OnePlus 5 captured an even sharper image than the XZ Premium. There we have another even more challenging low-light scene. The U11's once again captured the night way brighter than it was, but with a greenish tint to it. The OnePlus 5 and the XZ Premium stick to the reality better. Still, speaking of sharpness and clarity, the S is the clear winner. Then the XZ Premium, the OnePlus 5, finally the U11, probably due to it boosted the ISO to get such a bright image. All those photos showed how close the OnePlus 5 performed even in low-light scenes, extreme low-light, to other mainstream flagships. It holds up really well. In fact, all four of them handle low-light photography really well. Of course, the image quality differs quite a bit, but they're good at different areas. Like the S8 gives the sharpest image with almost no digital noise at all, but it's also got a reddish white balance. The U11 also captures comparable details to the S8, but the images are way noisier. The XZ Premium captures what it is, sometimes with higher saturation, but the details are not there. Now considering the OnePlus 5's hundreds of pounds or dollars cheaper than the rest we have here today, but it delivers comparable image quality. It's just insane. Move on to multimedia experience. The 5.5 inches 1080p Full HD display is somehow disappointing. But thankfully it is an AMOLED display. We are getting those perfect black level, super vivid colors and ultra-wide viewing angle. To be fair, 1080p on an AMOLED display with penthouse pixels arrangement, it is not the sharpest display on earth. And if you are a geek like me, you will notice it right away. But for day-to-day media consumption, you might also treasure the extra battery life. Anyway, there's no improvement on the display panel itself, but OnePlus added quite a few display modes for us to adjust the color profile. Unfortunately, the white balance on those two modes are way too warm, and you can't adjust the tone by yourself, like on the S8. Yep, the S8, we've also got a basic mode refers to the sRGB gamut, AMOLED Cinema a very accurate DCI-P3 gamut, and AMOLED Photo based on the Adobe RGB gamut. While even the XZ Premium's got a similar sRGB mode this year. The standard mode, however, makes a good use of the triluminous display and delivers sharper colors and a wider color gamut. The latest update on the U11s also brought us the sRGB mode. Now LG is the only one that lacks flexible color profiles. And by comparing the XZ Premium LG G6 to the S8 and the OnePlus 5, we can tell AMOLED displays are brighter under direct sunlight. But if we take a closer look, the 4K display on the XZ Premium's crazy sharp, with the most pleasing dynamic range among all of them. Yep, AMOLED displays are brighter and give deeper black. But in reality, the XZ Premium shows more details on the highlights and also the shadows. Like watching the Grand Tour on Amazon Prime, with HDR support, the dynamic range on the XZ Premium's simply better. Feel free to watch my full review to learn more. Now, does the jelly effect exist? If yes, is it a deal breaker? Well, it is there. Actually, it's really obvious and noticeable to me, but the video basically shows what I was experiencing in real life, so if you can't notice it right now, then you may just ignore it. The single down firing speaker is also disappointing. Like the G6 and the S8, is on the bottom side. The XZ Premium and the U11 give much better video watching and gaming experience with a dual speaker setup. While gaming on the XZ Premium is even more immersive than on the U11, as the two speakers are front-mounted. However, the OnePlus 5 shines when it comes to headphone audio output. It drives my Xperia A3 from Sony significantly better than other mainstream flagships. In this case, the S8 and the XZ Premium. The clarity is also unmatchable, with a slightly warmer tone and bassy touch to it. It's also got a built-in equalizer and aptX HD Bluetooth codec. Sony's LDAC still the top dog, but compared to the S8, with only aptX support, the jump from 16 to 24-bit is without applause. The U11's also got comparable audio quality to the OnePlus 5, but amazed by the OnePlus 5. Last but one of the most essential parts of the review, the battery life. 3300 mAh battery on the OnePlus 5's undoubtedly a step back from its predecessor, but it's actually the same as the LG G6, and is larger than the 3230 mAh battery on the XZ Premium, and much larger than the U11's 3000 mAh battery. On papers, however, the S8 crashes all of them with a 3500 mAh battery. But in reality, 1080p AMOLED display with a Snapdragon 835 is insanely battery friendly. The OnePlus 5's got the highest percent of battery left after 4 hours of YouTube videos playback at maximum screen brightness. The second round further solidifies this conclusion, that after enough YouTube videos playback, enough Facebook surfing, and enough Clash Royale gameplay at 50% screen brightness, the OnePlus 5's again on the top of the list. The Exynos version of the S8 might have better processing power than the Snapdragon one, but battery life's kinda mediocre. Still, with 59% of the battery left after 3 hours of media consumption is not bad at all. All in all, is the OnePlus 5 the 2017 flagship killer? The price tag's no longer a market disruptor, but it is indeed a really great, balanced and all-round device. You can expect top-notch performance, a decent camera, brilliant headphone audio quality, and second-to-none battery life. So what are the trade-offs? Well, a 1080p display with jelly effect, a single down-firing speaker, the lack of IP rating water and dust resistant, and that design, which will soon be outdated.
So that's it for today. Hope you all enjoyed watching this video. Like it if you liked it, and don't forget to subscribe. There are also 2 more videos here for you to watch next. See you next time.